Okay. So I'm going on with this one instead. Okay. So that was my base sculpt. So what I want to do today, okay, we've got an hour and 10 minutes, which should be enough. I basically want to get this character as finished as possible. His reference looks like this. Come on, here we go. Okay, so that's what we're aiming for ultimately. Okay, so that's just the body. And now, in terms, just to refresh you guys, for what I want you guys to do for Friday, or hand in on Friday, is I just need to see your base mesh. Okay. Now, the process that I follow, which I'm going to show you today, is once we've retopologized this character, I build the clothing out of that mesh. Okay. So that's why a lot of you guys have told you that like there's not enough shape in his body, and because we literally derive the shape of the clothing exactly from that mesh. Okay, so having more shape in the body means our clothes are easy to do as well, which is the thing that we finally see. So having the silhouette of the character correct means the clothing and all of that is going to fit. Okay, so this is all that I need to see, and pretty much I just want to see like perspective view, orthographic view, front, side, that kind of thing, and literally just that and that, okay? And then also a close-up of the face like that and that. So 4 images that I want you guys to hand in, okay? There can be screen captures, they don't have to be rendered. This isn't a final submission, it's a progress submission, which does count for points, okay, or marks. So don't take it too lightly. These marks don't get adjusted again, okay? So we take this mark as a percentage and it goes straight into your module's mark. Okay, it's not like you get a redo at the end of the module.
So it's front and side, full shaft.
Yeah, so a front and side from the whole character and the front and side of the face. Okay, so that's all we need. Okay, if you guys, like I said to a lot of you last week, I don't think the process of sculpting in clothing, just to retopologize clothing separately, is a good idea. Retopology is a slow process, you guys know that. So modeling clothes out of the actual retopologized body mesh is a lot faster. Again, whatever we can do to make this process quicker is what we have to do. Okay, so today what I want to do is basically carry on. So that is how far the character is. Let me just turn on his wireframe so you can see. Sorry, I just want to turn this on. Okay, so let me just show you. Okay, so that's what his wireframe looks like. Okay, still probably go and fix up that at some point. There's a few weird loops going on there. Now, a lot of you didn't really follow what I did in the class video by making the eyes closed. I'm going to show you why I model the eyes closed today. Okay, the first reason, okay, is if you were to delete these faces over there and intrude or extrude and inset or whatever it is, all of these edge loops coming into the eye, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 edges coming into the eyelids, okay, which is way too much, okay. What we want is we want 3 coming in for the top lid, 3 coming in for the bottom lid, and then 2 edges in the side to give you a slightly sharper corner when the eyes are closed, okay. So we lose a lot of these edges by doing it this way, okay. Also, it means that when you guys unwrap your characters, especially those of you who have characters with big eyes, which a lot of you do, modeling them with open eyes and then unwrapping them stretches out your UVs. Okay, so when the character blinks, you have stretched UVs. Okay, which is not what we want. So this is the same process that they use for characters on Level 2. Okay, so that's why I do it this way. It works. Okay, it's what people do. Okay, so be aware of that. Also, doing it this process, like I showed you guys last week, we get the loops going around our mouth, around the lips, and around the eyes and the eyebrows from the get-go, and then we build the rest of the character out of that. Okay, so it should be an easy process. Also, please just note the density of my mesh as it is like this. Okay, it's not particularly dense, and that's exactly how we want it. We don't want millions of edges and lines. And also note the distribution of my faces. So faces close to each other, or in close proximity to each other, are more or less the same shape or the same size, okay? Especially in areas where there's not a lot of detail. So each of these polygons more or less have the same volume and the same dimensions, okay? It's very important for a smooth mesh at the end, okay? Okay, so what we need to do today is finish off this character. Okay, so I'm quickly going to finish his legs, and then we're going to give him hands, okay? We're going to give him some clothing, and we're going to finish off the face. We're going to open up his eyes, do the cavity of the mouth, and then, I'm not sure if I said clothing already, but we're going to look at giving clothing as well. Okay, so see how much of that we can get done. We should be able to get quite far. Okay, I'm going to be fairly brisk, and please, I will upload this as soon as this class is done. Go through this video when you're working on it, okay? I say a lot of important things that you guys don't remember while you're sitting here in class, okay? So please go through these videos. It's very important that you follow these nice and slowly in your own time. Okay, so first of all, just going to go and carry on retopologizing his body to get dude's legs back. Well, not back, but on, okay? Now, the other thing, the density and the amount of detail that we have in our character sculpts, okay, will be a lot higher. Okay, there will be more detail, and the shape will be a little bit different, mostly because we're still trying to get a low-res mesh out of it. Okay, so if they're not identical, I mean, it's close enough. You can see where I got it from, but you can see there still are discrepancies. And what we can do is, right when we're finished, we can go and add in some finer details again. Okay, so for instance, that crease under the lip, which is something that I really like, we don't have here, but we can, once we finish with the character, go and add in those little details, which we'll do just now when we have time. Okay. Likewise for the creases in the eyebrow, in the brow line. The other thing that you guys must also be aware of, once we've done this, we can, if we really want to, go and add a multi-resolution modifier on top of this and sculpt on this again, okay, to a small degree, okay. It's really just for really fine details. If we want to have like more creases around the eyelids or like skin folds, that kind of thing. Small, tiny details we can go and add. We can't add big structural changes, but little like creases and folds and that we can definitely go and add there. Okay, so having said that, okay, so you can see the shape isn't exactly the same, but it's close enough. Okay, I'm happy with that being the result of that. Okay, it's close enough. The little details, as I said, we can go and add again later. Okay, so I'm going to go now and do the rest of the character. Okay, so getting back to here. Okay, now I don't know if those of you watched the other video or can remember from last week. For particular parts of the character, what I like to do, for instance, the arms or legs particularly, is I like to go and add a round shape to begin with, rather than going and extruding particular things. Okay, so what I mean by that, if that wasn't very particular or specific, in edit mode, wrong edit mode. Okay, so in this mode, I like to add things. Okay, so for instance, a circle. Okay, a circle with 8 points. Okay, 8 is a number that I like a lot. Okay, I'm going to turn that. So I'm just going to add it without the mirror on. Okay, so there we go. And the shrink wrap off. Also, just before we begin, what I like to do from time to time is apply the shrink wrap. Okay, so what we can do, and I think this will work, I've not actually done this particularly, is if we copy it, make a second one, okay, and apply the first one, we still have that one active, but it's gone and applied those actual changes. So turning that off shouldn't do anything to our mesh. Okay, which it doesn't. Okay, so we've gone and literally modeled that in. A lot of you have also mentioned like holes in your character. The easy way to fix that is by, let's just turn that on as well. If we select edges on the character where there's a hole, okay, we drag it into the opposite side of the character, and you'll see that if there is a hole, for instance like here, it should move the one way, but if you drag it all the way, it will actually then go and join up again, like that. Okay, so just drag those places back into the outside of the character, like all the way over here. There is something funny happening. Okay, so you can see we can literally just go and seal it up quite quickly. Okay, so if that happens, then you just drag it back the other way. Okay, so just going, merging up everything. Okay, so as I was saying, I'm going to turn my shrink wrap off and my mirror off. I'm going to go into edit mode, and then I'm going to add a circle. Circle is literally just a circle with 8 points. Okay, it's not a face, it's just an edge loop. Okay, and what I like to do then is use that as the start for new objects or things that need to be round. So for instance, a leg. Okay, so I'll go and position it more or less where I think it needs to be. Like so. And then once I've done that, and I'm back to, let's just turn that off for a second. There, slightly smaller. Okay, so more or less where I need it to be. I can then turn everything back on and carry on. Okay, so something like that. So now I can go and put these where I want them. Also, I'm going to put that onto wire. Okay, so that I only see that, and these modifiers. Let's turn that one off. Okay, we don't need to see that while we're modeling. That one we can, I don't think it's too important. If we turn it off there, then we can still see it there, but we don't see it there, which just complicates the view. Okay, so let's get cracking. So like that. So now I'm just going to move these into where the leg starts. Okay, now remember with this, the shrink wrap in conjunction with the snapping does make this a lot easier. Okay, so now I can literally take that whole edge loop, okay, and extrude it down. Okay, I'm going to try and scale that flat-ish. Okay, something like that. I will go back and get that a bit flatter just now. Just get that into there. Just going to turn this grid off. It's starting to annoy. Okay, there we go. Okay, so more or less where I expect these lines should go. Okay, so around the knee somewhere. Okay, so that's fine. Take it down again for the foot. Why is that happening? It's weird. Let me just turn it off. Maybe that the two aren't exactly the same. Okay, fine. I'll do it one at a time. Okay, those are using the default blend shortcuts. You can literally just drag them. Okay, my drag set up to be a box select, so that's a nice feature. You can pull them. This people. Okay, now I also don't have the world's most accurately sculpted feet or hands. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna model the foot out of from that edge. Okay, so don't worry too much about that. Okay, now I'm just gonna try and get in the rest of these details. Okay, so from there, that's this edge out. I sure did. Okay, let's check that out. There. Probably need another loop in there for at least the back of the leg, which you can space out a little bit for the front. Okay, like I said, the body of my characters I always leave very, very, very simply modeled. Okay, I don't add a lot of detail. It makes everything more difficult. Okay, so I'm very particular about where I go and place edge loops. So I don't have unnecessary edges, I don't have unnecessary faces, which makes rigging and face shapes and weight painting particularly a lot more difficult. Okay, so something like that should be good enough for now. Okay, then we can go and join these up again and see. So that I'm going to extrude and then try and scale up a bit. Okay, so that edge, we'll see how we can get all of this to connect again. But let's just turn on the mirror again. So that point over there, I'm going to drag all the way to the middle, down to the middle, down to the middle. Okay, somewhat like that. Okay, now I do have a lot more edges coming out of my body. Because he's got such a large circumference, he does have a lot of edges coming down. So I may need to hide some of them away. We'll see how it goes. Let's just get this out so long. But we'll see, as I'm saying. It may not be entirely necessary. Let's do that again. Okay, so I'm not joining them up just yet. I just want to see where all of this is going to go. Let's take it down, up. Okay, add layer, add layer. Okay, obviously to do there is that. Okay, so what I can also do now, which is a fair cheat, but it should work. Since he's got like underpants on, okay, I could potentially have it as these two meshes, like as if it were separate meshes, okay, so all of these extra edge loops, I just have them like intersect like that, okay, and then on the inside where they're actually not connected, I can just go and stitch them up so that they're still one mesh. Alternatively, they also don't have to be connected, to be fair. So I can have them be one mesh, but just cut open, which will also work. It's not ideal, but for this character, I don't have too many unnecessary edges running around, to be frank. Okay, how does that look? Because there's one extra edge there. I really don't want to put more edges going through into my foot. Also, they're not that many, so just for fun's sake, we can probably just patch it up. Look, look at that. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what we can do there just now. those two be together, and those two be together. Okay, so okay, this one I think is easy enough. Just want to see. This is also, you're never going to see this bit of the character in any case. That's fine because that's just a quad. Okay, this is a bit of a cheat, so having a triangle here and there is really not going to kill anyone, especially if it's something as simple as that. In which case, I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so one little triangle is not going to upset me too much if it's something like simply like that. However, we can clean it up in the panel separately. Never mind. Okay, so that will do it. So that is, if we just want to reposition that nicely, it'll be something like that. Okay, so it's still quads going all the way around. That's fine. There's a triangle there. It's not too much of an issue. Okay, we can just add another loop over there. Maybe another loop. Oops. See, that's what happens then. So I'm going to say undo, move it one up. Okay, I'm more happy with that because then I can still do things like this. Okay. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Just turn that on, turn that back onto solid. Okay, if that happens, which it often may, it just means that the normals aren't calculated the same everywhere. Okay, so instead of flipping them, which means all the normals would flip, we can just select everything, say Control N, which then recalculates those normals, and then it's just smoothing it out again. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Let's just turn that back on. Okay, so that for now is fine. Let's just do this. Okay, that I'm happy with. Okay, so now we need to give him hands and feet. Okay, open up the eyes, inside of the mouth, clothing. 50 minutes. That should be fine. Okay, now my process for doing hands. Okay, what's more important? Okay, wait, let's just do the face while we're here. Okay, not hands, we'll get back to that now. Okay, so the eyes. Now, once we've gotten this far, our retopology is done, by the way. So now we've finished retopologizing. Now what we need to do is go in and sharpen up details and all of that. Okay, so since it's done, I'm going to apply my, just turn that off for a second. I'm going to apply my shrink wrap. Okay, if it complains about that, it shouldn't really make too much of a difference. I've not had any issues just because that's there yet. Okay, we can now just go back and just select a whole bunch of these and just pull them one way or the other. Okay, any other holes? There's one. Okay, happy with that. Okay, so now let's quickly start on the face. I think that's the most important bit because none of you believe me that these characters are ever going to be able to open their eyes. Just rename him. Okay, so opening their eyes. First of all, what we need to do is we need to go and finish modeling the actual closed eyelid, which means those edges we don't need. Okay, so there is the slit in his eye. That's going to be our eyelid. Okay, just going to focus on that point there. Hey. There we go. Okay, now what we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to extrude that. Whoops, not that. I'm going to turn my snap off. I don't need that anymore, so I'm going to put that back on increment and leave it over there. Okay, that's extruded now. Okay, remember you're not shrink wrapped anymore, so now any changes that you make, you're actually changing the shape of the character. Okay, so be aware of that. I do want my eyes back though. let's go get my eyes back before I do this. To do that, what I'm going to do is select my sculpted mesh. Be careful that you don't do anything silly now because you have a really busy mesh. And to select that eye, I'm going to say selection, so separate it. Okay, so I have that again. I'm going to move that back to that layer as well. Go back to there and there we go. Okay, it is there. This thing's on X-ray, so that's why it's not showing anything else. Okay, so there's my eye. So that's what I need to actually have inside. Okay, I'm also just going to see where that center is, give it a mirror modifier so I can see it from both sides. Middle. There we go. Okay, now let's do that again. Focus there. Okay, so basically, as I was saying, we want to have our eyes closed around us. Now, depending on the size of your character's eyes, this may break everything. Okay, we may need another edge loop going through the top lid over here, so that when the character's eyes are closed, it's not just a straight line, there's a line coming out. Okay, you can also, should you wish to, use that loop over there. Okay, mostly because when a character's eyes are closed, that crease is very soft. Okay, so if we use that, okay, putting that out rather, okay, you can see our character's eyes does go a bit softer on that line, but it should be fine. Okay, it still looks natural. So in this case, I don't really need to add another edge loop. If I did need to, and I don't want to break anything, so chances are we will every now and then need to update the topology afterwards. So I don't really want to edge loop going through my whole character. I can hide it in certain places. So say now I wanted to add an edge loop going through here, I can go and hide it away inside the ear somewhere so that it doesn't go all the way through. Just to show you, that's going to do that. Okay, so if I don't want to have the edge going all the way through my character like that, I can basically cheat it by saying there's an edge, okay, only have it go through there and then just merge that inside the ear or inside the nostril or inside of the mouth or something like that. Okay, should it be necessary? Just so that you know. In this case, I think I should be fine. Sorry, get your eyelid. Okay, so let's carry on. Okay, so for now I'm just going to go and reposition these points again so that I'm certain that my eye is going to be closed in this position. So just make sure that my eyeball isn't poking through. I can also alternatively just move my eyeball a little bit back. Okay. Plan B is also just make the eyeball from scratch again to fit this mesh, because I think it may be a little bit small. Okay, so I'm going to do that quickly. Okay. I'm going to scale these up just a little bit. My phone is going crazy today. Okay, moving back maybe a little bit more. Okay, that should be fine for now. Okay, so now what we can do is go and finish this. Okay, so first of all, that loop over there, I want to extrude, scale it down a little bit. Okay, just so I can basically see where everything's going. And then from my front view, front orthographic view, just these points, so down, down, we just scale them down pretty much until they're touching. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be the edge of my eyelid where the points start actually making contact. That one. Never will you ever have had such nice closed eye shapes before as by doing this. Okay, so literally touching, so small as they can. Okay. Okay, we can pull them in a little bit as well. If that happens, don't worry, we can always just tweak it just now. Okay, then take that same edge loop again and extrude it and move back. Okay, so that is as much of the eye that I like to actually model in. Okay, more than that becomes difficult. So I don't model eye cavity or the inside surface of the eyelid. I find that's unnecessary. It's just more points that you need to animate. Okay, the fewer points you need to animate, the better this and the easier this is going to be. Don't know why this thing navigates so strangely sometimes. Okay, so now I'm going to go and turn on my proportional editing. I'm actually going to turn on just enable not connected for this. And by doing that, that's going the wrong way. I can just reposition the eye points a little bit better to wrap around my eyeball. I'm leaving my subsurf on for this, by the way, so that you can actually see if you are making a difference to the smooth mesh or not. Okay, so nice closed eyes. Okay, I'm happy with that for now. Let's see just now. Okay, now in terms of opening the eye up, we make a face shape to do that. Now face shapes are things that interfere with things like symmetrizing meshes. Okay, so be aware of that. So if we now make the face shape, we won't easily be able to symmetrize it. Okay, that's why I leave it right at the end. Okay, so once we have put on the hands and the feet and we can symmetrize the character, then we can make the face shape, which is a little bit easier. Okay, we don't leave the character with a mirror modifier on forever. Okay, we do actually apply it at some point, especially if we're going to make asymmetrical changes to it. Okay, so that is then that, which is fine. Okay, the mouth, same thing. We need to do the inside of the mouth. Okay, 40 minutes to go. Okay, and for this, still don't need that. Okay, I do it one lip at a time. Okay, so starting from the top lip, let's select the edges that are a little bit easier to see. So from that edge over there, I'm going to go down all the way into the corner of the mouth. Okay, so I'm going to leave those 2 points for now. I'll patch, or those 2 edges, I'll patch those up just now. But going into my side view, okay, what we need to have, basically we need to construct the inside of the mouth. So that is from the lip going up to where it meets with the gums, more or less over there, okay? And then you can, if you really want to have actual modeled gums, you can, I'll show you how to do that. Which is nice. It is nice to have the whole inside of the mouth as one object. Okay. However, the easiest way to do it is to model the inside of the lip going up to where it meets the gums. Same thing for the bottom lip over there, and then just making the mouth cavity out of that. Okay. And then we stick in teeth and a tongue from there. Okay. So to do that, extrude that so we have a little bit more of a lip over here. So one over there, one over there. Okay, so that'll give us enough points to have a nice round lip. Take it all the way up to where it meets up with our gums. Okay, so that looks something like that. Now this is doing something funny. I just want to check what's happening there. It may just be that point that's a bit too there. Okay. Okay, so that's what we need over there. Right, that's fine. I'm going to pull. Actually, I'm going to ignore it for now. Okay, then we need to do the same thing for the bottom edge. So from there to there, literally the same thing. So also going to pull another edge down to about there. Okay, I think that should give me enough. I may do that. Take more or less down to there. So halfway and then down to where it will meet the gums over there. Okay. So now that is what we have. Okay, now we need to take this and extrude it inside of the mouth. Now, I do just want to pull these points up a little bit. They don't have to go that far down, and there'll probably be issues if they do. Okay, where's that one? Can't see it. Okay, so just pushing these up a bit. Okay, that can maybe come down a bit. Let's get that one. Okay, same. Over there it's not so serious. Okay, now we just need to go and patch up these corners that we missed. Okay, which means, how do I do this again? So let me just zoom in over there. It is really small. I'm going to turn that off for a second. Okay. So basically we need to go patch up that edge with that edge. Okay, so if I just fill those, we have a little triangle over there, so we need to add in that loop and merge those two together. Okay, which is then fine. So that fixes that. Same thing for this edge there. There's those 2 points. Okay, and now from there, we can probably just go and select all of these like that. Go to my side view and extrude these backwards. Okay, so this is now the inside of the mouth cavity. I'm going to make it bigger. That goes down to about there. I'm going to scale it flat so we have nice clean shapes inside. Okay, so something like that. I'm just going to rotate it a bit. Do that for now. Okay, maybe a bit big. Again, move that down to about there. And then we just need it to go down into his throat. Okay, so for that, scale it down. Rotate it, literally so that if he opens his mouth, you don't see a hole at the back of his neck, whatever, something like that. Okay, now having done that, we will have broken our mirror. Okay, so I'm going to turn that on, and just these inner points up to there, just to make sure that I have all of those up in the middle, like those with these, and then we can just go and smooth the whole thing out a little bit. Okay, so all of these points, okay, I should have done this first before I removed those corner points. All of those, I think, it's not select the last one we see. Okay, just so we have a nice, slightly more even point distribution. Goes back. No, they're good. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now that means that we now have a inside of his mouth. Okay, I just want to take this edge just down a little bit further, just to be sure. Okay, this one we can scale up again, up. Okay, so that should be good enough. Okay, inside of the mouth done. Now, the things we need to add to the inside of the mouth, just smoothing that out a bit. That corner was a bit far down. Okay, things we need to add, teeth and a tongue. Okay, those are the most important bits. Now, those can be as complicated or detailed as you wish. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much detail now with it, but just to show my most basic process, so the most simple characters, I do something like this. Separate object, I'd make a cube, scale it down, Okay, with this cube, I delete that face, that face, and that face. Faces, scale it down. Okay, press Ctrl 2 to add a subdivide modifier. Apply that so we have a little bit nicer mesh. Probably, if that bugs you, you can probably just delete them. Okay, then scale it up a bit depending on how big his teeth are going to be. These are teeth, by the way. That with a solidify, if we just apply the scale. Applying the scale makes difference to these kind of things. Something like that, and then that, like a gum guard kind of thing. That's the most basic option that I would do. And then obviously going to a lot more detailed things like actually modeling teeth for like a lot more complicated or detailed characters. Okay, front teeth. Normally, if you think about it, your teeth do go wider than what your mouth opening is. Okay, so if you think about it like that, this guy can really have like slightly broader teeth. Okay, and then you can just rotate it to fit here. So he does have this entire front line of his mouth with his underbite and everything. Does make me think that the teeth need to be rotated a little bit back. Okay, and that your teeth sit just behind your lips. Okay, so something over there, and then I do the same thing for the lower teeth. And I'd normally make the lower teeth a little bit further back, or depending on the character, if he has an underbite, whatever, over there. So this guy does have his front lips a little bit more forward. So I'm going to do something like that. Okay, that should be fine. If this mesh does not fit around that, we can tweak it. Should probably. Let's just do an edit mode rather than there. Working on the inside of the mouth is a nightmare. I must say, it's really, what I sometimes do is something like this. Just hide everything else so that you can actually see what you're doing. Okay, it does make a big difference.
It's like you want to go to those slugs from left away.
Yeah. Okay, I don't mind that too much. What we can maybe do is just tweak these. That should actually be fine. Okay, to get rid of that again, just press Alt H and all your other geometry will come back. Okay, tongue.
Sorry, is that fine the quality of teeth for it to just be a bar?
It's up to you. It depends on the level of detail of your character. If you want to go and add more detailed teeth, then you're more than welcome to. What I would then do is I'd go and, just as an example, since you asked, I'll just do this. So I'd go and delete all of those. Okay, I do that. Okay, and then each of these, I would go and separate as a tooth. Okay, don't worry about that just yet. So do something like that. That's the very separate. Okay, you can probably do it with the mirror modifier on. Okay, join all of them again so that it stays one object. Okay, but they're all split up, and then you can go and do something. Wait, let me just do that before I go and chop all of them off. I don't know what I've just done. Maybe losing my video. Just so you know, I'm trying to shoot through this. Okay, so something like that, and then potentially just using that subdivide instead. Okay, maybe adding an extra ridge somewhere like there, and also let's just mirror that. Okay, that, and then this you can forget that it's made back. There's another way to do that, I think. If you take that and press V, you actually rip them off. Okay, that's easier. And then, okay, so something like that, and then you can just go and tweak these a bit. Peaches. Okay, and then you can model them further. So you can model individual teeth as well. It's entirely up to the style of the character. Normally, like I do like that kind of thing, but a lot of simple characters you only really need like a bit of a shape, okay? But it's up to you. Okay, then tongue, same thing. The tongue, very simple. It literally is a long cube, pretty much. So if you take this, take that, maybe use your subdivision tools as an actual modeling tool. So take that and apply that, and then maybe take these and drop them down a bit, maybe bevel it. Just get a bit of a line there. And then just from the side you can do something like, just put those down. tongue. Animation is such a weird thing. Jeez. So just behind the teeth. Okay, and that is enough there. So when we're actually making talk, we have all the bits and pieces in place. Okay, how are we doing for time? Okay, we still have 27 minutes. Okay, we can still go pretty far. Okay, for the hands. Okay, what I generally do there is I do it like Lego blocks. Okay, so luckily we have more or less a design already for the hand, so we know the basic shape that we're aiming for. And then what I do is I make a finger, and then I duplicate the finger 5 times, and then I make a palm, and then I merge it all together and turn it into a hand. Okay, so pretty straightforward. The lucky thing here is that we do have a shape to work with as well. Okay, now I do this normally just on a new layer, because it's a lot easier to work with just on a flat surface. Okay, now follow these steps exactly. Okay, so that means take the class video and watch it when you do this, because this does make a big difference. Okay, first of all, finger is basically a long cube, right? Longish cube. This guy has short, stubby, fat fingers. Okay, they're also a little bit, probably a little bit flat. Okay, get the basic shape of your finger. Okay, so probably something a little bit like that, maybe even stubbier. Okay, finger. The finger has 2 joints in it, okay, and then subdivide it once. Okay, apply that. So now we have that. Okay, each of our joints, so that is a joint, as is that. Say a joint, what's the actual name for where fingers, joints? Joint? It is a joint. Gewrig, a thing. Anyway, so then I bevel that and I add an extra edge loop in there, of which you can then go and select some of them. Normally you can just take these 2 and just pull it up a bit. Okay, so you get a little bit of a crease in the bottom. I take those and I scale them a bit bigger, those, and I scale them a bit bigger. Okay, so that way we get a little bit of a knuckle, or a little bump. Okay, now from this, normally what I do is I'll add in potentially another edge loop over there. You don't have to, but normally you can. Take those 4 faces, sorry, that's where our fingernail is going to come out of. Inset that. Okay, if it insets funny, just undo that. Go into object mode, apply your scale, and do it again. Okay, so that means it's going to work a little bit better. Okay, so that's where my actual fingernail is going to be. I'm just quickly going to go and move these points out because I don't want it to be so round in the front. And also just do that. Okay, I'm also going to pull those points in a little bit so I have a round fingernail. Okay, everyone's still following me. Okay, this is literally the easiest finger you will have ever made. Okay, these edges in the front, from there to there, I pull them down. Okay, that, no, not that, sorry. That is then my fingernail. Okay, you can just shape it a little bit more if you want to. If you go to options there, you can turn on X mirror, which means whatever you do on this side, unless you've broken the symmetry, like I've just done, whatever you do on that side, will get mirrored on the other side as well. Okay, so we do something like that. Okay, this is then our fingernail, so we extrude that up a little bit. Okay, we need another loop down there just to sharpen up the crease. That is then our actual fingernail, so we can extrude that a little bit up there, and also add just another edge to sharpen it up. Okay, and press that, we have a finger that looks cool. Okay, so very quick, basic finger mesh. Okay, then we can just go and tweak a little bit more. So let's take some of these points and down, get a little bit chubbier joints. Can basically use our basic editing tools to just go and make it look a little bit nicer perhaps. Okay, if the fingernail is too high, which it often is, we can just go and flatten it out a bit. I remember in the first year that I was studying, and I had to do fingernails, and it took me days and days and days. And then finally, you learn things and you figure things out a bit quicker, and it makes life a lot nicer. Okay, you also do the, no, not that, that actually, just to fix up that a little bit. Okay, if where the finger comes out looks a bit weird, we can just take our sculpt tool, just tweak them over there. So fingers may be a little bit long. Okay, so basic finger, check. Okay, everyone's still happy. Okay, now what I would generally do, refer back to your actual design so you remember what your hand is supposed to look like. Okay, short stubby fingers, short stubby thumb, very long palm. Okay, broad wrist. Okay, let's go back over here. Let's scale that down a bit. Apply it together again. Okay, now what we do is we basically go and block out just that shape. Okay, so I'll take my one finger, rotate a bit. Okay, if you're happy with it, and just undo that. I just want to see maybe something like that, perhaps. Don't know if that's going to be nice or not, but let's see what that does. Okay, down like that. Okay, just will drop these in a little bit more. And turn my connector on and pull it down. Okay, so now finger one, finger two, finger three, finger four. Okay, fingers get slightly smaller for those two. Okay, let's go back to there. Now, things that I try not to do is make it more difficult for myself when we start rigging. Okay, so what I don't like to do is model the fingers actually curved. Okay, I like modeling them straight. Okay, so that I know that when I go and put my bones in, I know that the bones into straight. I also don't like rotating them like that. Okay, I'd rather do that with the rig itself later. Okay, so now I'm just trying to get that curve of the hand. Okay, it also means that when we put our bones in, we know all the angles for them to bend correctly is 90 degrees or 0 or 180, whatever. So it's really a nice, easy way to go about doing that. Okay, so somewhat like that. Maybe bunch them up a little more. Don't worry if they intersect, we'll fix it now. Okay, and this one, that turns into a thumb. Okay, the only exception to what I've just said is the thumb. Okay, so I'm going to delete, the thumb has one less digit in it, so I'm going to delete those. Okay, short fat thumb, that's exactly what we want. Put it more or less where we expect the thumb to be. Maybe scale it up a little bit. We can change the rotation on them. Okay, we can worry about actually editing the shape of it just now. Maybe make it, sorry, maybe make it a bit longer. There we go. So especially so the thumbnail is a bit longer. Okay, so now in terms of, if you look at a hand, okay, we don't want our hand to be dead flat. Okay, the thumb does drop at an angle. Okay, so if you look at it from the front, we're going to have a flat, this surface, and slightly curved. Okay, but our thumb does hang quite a bit. Okay, so not entirely straight down, not entirely flat, more or less at like a 30 to 45 degree angle down like that. Okay, also our thumb is rotated this way. Okay, so it is rotated facing outward. Okay, so now knowing that, if we look there, if we go into local rotation over there, we can drop that to more or less, I like doing 30 degrees because then I know what the actual degree of it is. So if I take my bones and I rotate them, then I know it's going to be set. Okay. Likewise, we said it's rotated out as well. Okay, so along its length. So along that way, we can rotate it a little bit like that as well. And what I like to do, actually, Let's just check there, drop it a bit more as well. Okay, so something like that. So we have a nice curve going like that. Okay, so once you're happy with the general shape of that, you add in a cube. Okay, and basically go and block out the shape of the hand with a palm like so. Okay. Also from the front to the side, take it from there. Okay, from this angle also, that edge is smaller. Okay, so a hand is like a wedge. Okay, so if you look at it like that, okay, it's nice and fat over here. Okay, and then it goes thinner. Okay, so we definitely need to have that kind of thing happening. Okay, so we can drop that down quite a bit. Okay, and there's our hand finished. Great. Okay, let's carry on. Okay, so try and get the basic curvature of the hand right like this. Okay, before we go too far. Okay, and also these points, try and keep them more or less in between where the fingers merge. Okay, so somewhat like that, somewhat like that. Okay, also the hand does get smaller to the one side, so we can scale those down, take them down a bit more. Okay, that I don't mind too much at all. Okay, these we can still pull up a little bit. Okay, so they're more or less in line with what those are. These we can probably just pull up a tiny bit as well. Okay, and then also from the side, that side, I like to have another loop over there and then scale this side just down a little bit. Okay, so somewhat like that. So there's our little wedge shape. Okay, and tiny. Most characters, the wrist does come in a bit. This guy's doesn't much. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. Okay, now the thing that we want. Okay, remember these we've modeled them to have 8 points over there. So ideally we want to have 8 points over here as well. Okay, so what we can do now, once we've done this basic structure, I think, let me first of all just delete those faces. Okay, if we go and apply this one level of subdivision, like so, we should get over there 4 faces for each finger, which will give us our 8 points. Okay, so now, let me just isolate that. What I'm going to do is pretty much just take those and inset each of them just a little bit and then delete those faces.
What is the shortcut for insert?
Take yes. Yes. It normally is what you think it is. Okay, also I'm going to just go and select these points over there and pull them back out again. That my smooth kind of broke. Okay, what you also need to do is put that back on and actually get this to line up a little bit better as well. Okay, here I'm going to turn that on a bit so when I'm doing this I can have just the general shape follow what I'm doing. Okay, so I can pull those forward a little bit more. Just close enough. They don't have to match exactly, but just so that they're slightly more where I want them to be. Something like that. Maybe pull those out just a bit there. We'll stick the thumb on over there. Okay, now what we need to do is that's pretty much all the geometry that we need. We can potentially pull, I don't know if you want the thumb move any further back. The back and over. Maybe just slightly. Okay, so if you think about the hand, you may want it a little bit fatter still, I think. This way. Okay, running out of time. Okay, there we go, that should work nicely. Okay, nice chubby hand. Okay, now we have everywhere, even here, these ones, that's where my, just going to delete those, that's my thumb is going to join up. Now what we can do is go and select each of these, and then the hand, press Control J, merge it all together. Okay, and now we go and we bridge all of our edge loops. So we select that one, Control E, bridge edge loops over there, and then we can delete that edge over there again. Okay, we will just now go and smooth everything out again. So bridge edge loops, okay. Bridge. I just want to undo there. I think I did something that I wasn't intending to. Okay, bridge edge loops. Still looks weird. Edge loops. Okay. Down, select one, bridge edge loops, down, select down, bridge edge loops, delete. What was that? Undo. Let me just make sure that this is. Okay, I think that should have done it. Let's just check everywhere. Okay, it's fine, and then this one's a big one. If it is too big, it may break like that, so then you can just go and do it manually so that the right edges attach to the right places. Wireframe. I think that's it. Okay, and again we can go and delete our edge. That didn't do it. Let's just undo that just quickly and make sure we're doing this right before we break it. Okay, there. That'll make it a little bit easier. Yes. Okay, so that is then our basic mesh for the hand. Now we just need to go and tweak it and clean it up a bit. Okay. More than that, you don't really need too much. So there, I'm just going to go and smooth out or remove and add in a lot of these edge loops. Okay, something like that. Okay, we can go and then use our sculpting tools to go and get back some of our shape. Turn off symmetry if you're not working on a symmetrical model. Okay. Okay, so we're basically just lifting these out for like a bit of a knuckle. Pushing those in for a little bit of a dent in between the finger. Okay. That didn't really go. Okay, that is more or less as far as my hand model goes. Okay, so now it's just shaping what we have. More than, yeah, you don't really need more topology than that. Okay, you can really get away with a lot here. Or a little goes a long way, I suppose. That's a bit weird, but no, it's, yeah, it should be fine. Okay, and that, once we're happy with that, I'd still go and tweak the shape of it, but the topology is there and we need to get cracking. Okay, so join that back onto the arm, giant hand, turn that off, scale that down. You can also now put it back in place. Now the reason why I don't model it out of the edge of the hand is sometimes your arms are rotated and all of that, and then you know you're working at a funny angle, which isn't nice to do. Okay, so stick this back on over here. Maybe just turn that on for a second so we can get the shape more But the size pretty much more or less where we had intended it to be. It's somewhat like that. So now we can also go and just tweak it a little bit further to get it closer to what we had intended. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now, I just want to get it on. Okay, so yeah, we do need to go and definitely make it a bit bigger, but for the time being we can live with that. Select that, Control J. Okay, so that'll make it there. Okay, now we need to go and join it up. Now we do have a lot more edges here than we do over there, and we don't want all of them actually going in. Okay, we really don't want all of these edges going back into the arm, so we do need to go and hide them as nicely as we can. Okay, so ideally try and get the edge loops of our arm to match up with the edge loops of the hand. So the middle edge loop in the arm to come back into the middle of the hand and keep it the same at the bottom as well. Now the middle is that one. Okay, I did make it with only 8 vertices. Okay, so if we do just shuffle some of these around, we should be able to get there pretty easily. Okay, the same thing goes for the feet. However, the feet, I don't normally make toes unless you're going to see the character's toes. Okay, so be aware of that. And I'm just going to join them, and then once it's joined, I can go and use my sculpting brush just to pull the shape back to my original design. Okay, so it's a lot easier like this than modeling individual fingers or retopologizing individual fingers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is try and just get them merged. Okay, first of all, we can go and just bridge that gap. Okay, now all of those probably aren't going to be too nice. Okay, so we do want to go and fix up a lot of them. Okay, however, what I do like is that that's in the right place. So, and I expect at the top it's also in the right place. So what I do is basically go and delete these edge loops, all the extra ones, and then we can really just go and slice them back in according to how we want. Now you can also, if you just find like a reference of the topology of this, chances are you will find a nice way to actually go and connect these loops back into each other. I can't remember always what it is, so I do tend to just make it up as I go. I know if there are just see. Also, the wrist is a fairly bendy place, so you can hide geometry here quite easily. I don't want to spend too much time on this either. And also give him some clothes. Okay, everyone still with me? Everyone cool? Okay, all of that information is in the video from the previous class, which will be merged to this one, and I'll upload it now. Okay, so at the moment, I've literally just gone and melted this hand onto there, so I'm still not happy with it at all. It still needs to be shaped and positioned nicely to match my original design, which looked very different. Okay, much thicker, actually has shorter, stubbier fingers. So we'll see what we can do to actually get it to look more like this. Okay, so first of all, should probably have positioned it there initially before I merged it on, or at least chopped the other hand off and work with that. But let's see what we can do. Okay, so now when you do this, do it cleverly. Okay, so for instance, if I want to bring, like make the fingers a bit thicker on, oh man, down. There we go. Okay, so if I want the fingers to be a little bit thicker this way, okay, like more wedge shaped, I can pull them down like that, but do them all at the same time and using the connected proportion. That's bigger, that's smaller. Okay, I can pull them all down using this and not really ruin my topology or the proportions between the different fingers. Okay, so when you do this, be clever about it. Okay, that's the best advice I can give you for this kind of thing. And I'm also just going to turn that layer on as well. Turn this back into X-ray. So I can see a little bit better of what I was intending to do. Okay. Now you will notice discrepancies between the two meshes, and don't worry about that. You can, the shrink wrap won't give you the exact same result. You can, once you've applied your shrink wrap, which I've done over here. Oh, by the way, as soon as you're finished with the body, okay, before you do the eyes and the mouth, you apply your shrink wrap, you're done with retopologizing, and now you're just modeling in all the details. Okay. Anyway, you can now, after you've gone and retopologized everything, go and select edges, make them thicker, and go and adjust them back to original shape. Most of it shouldn't be too much of an issue though. Okay, so don't worry about it too much. Okay, so now I just want these points to come down a little bit more. Get a little bit thicker. Okay, so see there, by putting that point, I've actually warped that finger. That's something I don't want to do. So when you do something like that, make sure you do it consistently across your character. Okay, so it's still bigger than that. Now, you can always change your mind about certain design features. So if you decide you don't want to have it be exactly like the Sculpt, if you have a valid reason, then that's totally fine. You don't have to always follow your initial plan. You can make it better if you wish. Okay, so just pull that out a bit more. So just pull that out more as well. What do you guys see? Okay, you can here see quite clearly why the shrink wrap doesn't give us the exact same result. Okay, we have a lot fewer points that we're working with. Okay, and our points are perfectly on the surface of that mesh, but by smoothing it out, we get a smaller mesh out of it. Okay, and that's why. So if you do need to go and tweak things afterwards, then by all means, go for it. Just don't break the nice smooth shrink wrap mesh. Okay. Okay, so something like that's a little bit better. Okay, once you're happy with it, you can obviously still go and use your sculpt tools and your grab tool. Not sculpt per se, but just using the grab tool and the smooth tool and whatever to still get more of a particular shape of the character's hand or whatever that you need. So for instance, I want these to pop out a bit more. Okay, a little bit of a chubbier hand, and I want this to have a slightly sharper crease in the middle. Okay, so you can still make it nicer. In terms of merging up these edges, okay, so ideally we need it to look as neat and tidy as possible. Okay, and what I've done here probably isn't the best way to have done it. So I'm going to just look at this. Is this recording, by the way? I do believe so. Okay, great. Okay, what time does this class end? At 1. 12. 12. Oh, so we don't have any time at all. How'd that class run away from me as well? I thought you were sitting with like hours and hours. Okay, anyway, so things we can do here. If there are a few triangles in the wrist, I'm totally okay with that. And that example I just showed you over here. Damn it, I was hoping to spend like an hour on clothes. Oh, they were in the next class. Okay, so for example, on this dude, you can see there are the odd triangle here and there. Okay, so that's technically a quad. That's a quad. That's technically a quad. That's technically a quad. But for instance, there's a triangle. That's not the end of the world. Okay, and the reason why it's not the end of the world is if we turn that on, okay, and turn, no, okay, so turn the wireframe on. So there's a triangle, right? So follow those triangles. Yes, we can delete that edge and get rid of it, but just for my demonstration, the way the subdivision works is it subdivides away all your triangles. Okay, so the mesh that you render won't have any triangles. Okay, it's just really good practice not to have them in the first place. but that does help us to really just, fix it a little bit. Okay, anyway, getting back to this. Okay, now, a way to do this is try and, when you merge it up, try and have, if you have extra edge loops, try and distribute them evenly between all your edges. Okay, so for instance, there I already tried to do something which didn't work too well. But for instance, have, say, 3 edges between each line or that kind of thing. Try and get it to match as evenly as you can. Okay, if you have, for instance, 3 edges in between 2 main edges, one way to actually get rid of your triangles is to do that, okay, and to do that. Okay, so that means that this is now a square, as you can see over there, as is that. Okay, if you have 3, if you only have 1, it's a little bit more difficult. So in that case, normally I would just go and merge it up into a corner. Okay, try and keep this join fairly small. Okay, so that we don't have too many issues over there. Okay, again over here, if you have 2, I can do that and delete that edge. For some reason, I did that just now as well, and I didn't want to merge, so I'll just do that. Okay, so now we can technically go and delete that edge over there. Okay, over here as well, we've got the opportunity to do the same thing, so to do that and that. Okay, I don't know why that's not working. Okay, and delete that edge loop there, so then we're quite there as well. However, I'm not entirely sure if those little quads really, those little triangles are the end of the world, but try just as good practice not to have them in the first place. Okay, so here we're going to have probably a little triangle, and let's get to that one. If you do this, I mean, it's really, I've not had any issues with this before, so you shouldn't either. Okay, just as long as you don't have n-gons or 5-sided shapes, then for here, in the rest of your character, no triangles, but in that little bridge over there, you can. There are also ways to actually go and redirect them into each other back over here, which you can also do. That's not terribly keen on. Anyway, but that's fine. The other thing is, normally characters have sleeves on, well, not normally, a lot of times characters do have sleeves on something, in which time it also doesn't matter, but anyway. Okay, same thing with the feet. I would just model feet out of that, okay? And then we can move on to the last 14 minutes of clothing. Okay, and hair. Clothing and hair I do pretty much the same way. Now there are a lot of cool tutorials to do polygon hair. She knows how to do it, so ask her, which is very cool. But for like short hair, for instance, for this character, what I would do, since here's his reference, it's gone. Now what? I think it's that one. Yeah, okay. So for this dude, he really only has a little bit of hair on the top of his head, and it's short. Okay, same thing for like geometry, eyebrows, and beard, and all of that. What I do is the same as what I do for the clothing right now. Okay, so modeling it by extracting bits of the mesh first. Okay, so I do want that image open. Let's take that away. There we go. Okay, so like I'm going to show you now, I'm going to do the shirt and the sleeves and the collar and hopefully this waistcoat too. Okay, see if we can get all of that done. Okay, now think of this not as in terms of actual clothing. Okay, so if you're doing this shirt, you don't need to have the collars and the sleeves and the cuff over there, sorry, cuff over there and the collar over there to be one object. Okay, you can, like I did on this character, so this is my go-to reference because it's actually finished. That is entirely separate. Okay, those are entirely separate. Okay, so then this is literally just a shape like that. Okay, so by not modeling in unnecessary details and joins and folds, rigging them does become a lot easier. Okay, so how I'd go about doing it. First of all, I really should just learn to keep that open. UV image. There. Okay, so first of all, we need sleeves with cuffs and a collar, and then a waistcoat. Okay, so I'm going to start with the waistcoat because that's the outermost thing that we're going to see. And also, we don't necessarily want overlapping clothing too much. Okay, if it's something simple like a shirt and a jacket, that's fine. But if it's something that doesn't really fit each other too much, then overlapping stuff does or can pose a bit of a nightmare at some point. Okay, so pretend I've done the feet as well, and it is now time to merge our character. Okay, once you've applied the mirror modifier, okay, this does become a little bit easier, I think. But yeah, you can apply it as soon as you've done the hands and the feet and everything else. So, other thing, with the eyes, we use a face shape or a shape key to open up the eyes. You can't merge or apply a mirror modifier to a mesh that has shape keys on it. Okay, so that's why I leave that till right at the end when I open up their eyes. So once I've merged them, like now, we can go and apply shape keys to our character. Okay, so just be aware of that as well. Okay, so I'm going to select the faces where I want my waistcoat to be. Okay, I'm going to try and do the next one a bit quicker. I'll record the next class as well. Maybe there's enough time to look at this in a little bit more detail. Okay. Also, whether you do this directly before, sorry, just to save some time, I'm just going to undo my mirror so that I can just do it on one side. Just is going to help me a little bit right now. Okay, so just roughly select the faces where we want our clothes to go. Our waistcoat particularly. Okay, so somewhat like that. We don't need those two. We do want those. Okay, then with the base mesh, which is that. Okay. Sorry, before I do that, I'm just going to do. Oh no, I thought that was going back a bit. Never mind. Okay, I'm going to duplicate that. Okay, and I'm going to press P to separate it from the actual character. Okay, so now we've got that kind of shape. And now what we can do is slide these points on the geometry. Okay, until we get to the shape of our clothes that we want. Okay, so I slide it particularly so that I try and keep the same edge flow as the character underneath. Okay, that allows us to very easily, when we start rigging our characters, to only rig the body of our character, okay, and then tell our clothes to use the same envelope, I suppose, as the body. Okay, I don't want those. Okay, so try and keep these very close to, if it's a little bit of a deviation, that's fine. But try and at least be aware of it and keep it more or less the same kind of edge flow. Okay, let's get through this a little quicker. Okay, so somewhat like that. Okay, also a nice button to press is Alt-S. If you have applied the scale, so Control-A and scale, Alt-S then pushes the object out along its normal. Okay, so it'll make it stand away from the clothes just a little bit. Okay, so something like that. So now we can go and shape the front. So I'm going to merge that point with that point. No, actually I'm not going to merge it. I'm just going to move it up. Okay, so we can get that little bit of a crease over there. What happened here? Okay, we've sacrificed those two faces because we've lost their frames. So move that back up there. Maybe pull that out and down a little bit. Okay, so it's a lot easier to model clothing out of something like this than modeling it from or retopologizing it. Okay, trust me on that. That's really very, very, very true. Okay, I just want to see. Okay, the basic process from here Okay, that's a waistcoat. It's not going to be too hectic. But is to take this and apply a solidify on top of that. Okay, we're going to still make the two actual front panels of the thing overlap each other, just so you can see. A solidify then gives our clothes a nice thickness. Okay, so be aware of that. Not going to do it just yet. Okay, still just want to get the shape a little bit better. Okay, so also remember now, clothes don't stick to you entirely. Okay, they do normally, they simplify your outline a little bit. Okay, so be aware of that as well. Okay, so move that just down a little bit there. Okay, just for this, I don't know if it's a great idea or not, but I am going to delete that edge loop. Just to make it a little easier. Also that one out there. Okay, now to get them to actually merge over there, I'm going to take all of those, to add in another edge loop right over there. Okay, and now since it's not a symmetrical shape anymore, I can delete that for now. Okay, move those away from the center, apply it again, so mirror, okay, something like that. Let's move it up one, there we go, and apply that, and then we can go and do this one for one. So all of those points we need at some point over there, so I'm taking past the center line, and then all of these points, pulling it in front of those and stretching it over. I'm actually going to see if I can maybe just add in the extra loop of it there. Okay, which gives me a little bit more space to work with, especially if I pull that over much further, which I do need to do. I know the picture goes other way, but ignore that for now, shall we? Okay. Okay, so somewhat like that should be fine for our waistcoat. Okay, then we can go, just want to isolate that on its own. Those, still 4 minutes, don't you worry, I'll finish the waistcoat. Faces. Okay. Edge loops. Dissolve vertices. Vertices. There we go. Okay, so now if we add our solidify modifier, we can now start seeing other things that we can do to it as well. Okay, so for instance, just going to subdivide that by once. If we want to add, say now, a seam, okay, so say now they stitch these two pieces of clothing together over there. We take that and bevel it, so Control B, and add an extra edge loop in between, and then select that edge loop and Alt S it to move it along as normal, okay, to give us a little seam like that, okay, which is pretty cool. Okay, little things like that really does make a difference. Okay, same thing with that. I'm actually going to select that one and that one together so that they're the same. Select those edges. Okay, remember it's fabric. Okay, it's not just a piece of whatever paper or anything. It folds and it has, you know, a life of its own pretty much. Okay, so that one, Alt S, push it in. Okay, so little details like that, okay, really does help. You can apply more than one subdivision surface to an object, so something like that would give us a pretty cool end result. Okay, while we still have a very simple mesh. Okay, so the idea is to keep it simple for as long as we possibly can. Okay, so now we can go and tweak it. We can add little things like maybe wrinkles or folds in the cloth. One way to do that, which sometimes works, is if you, for instance, you can either just pull edges out. If you need to add in folds particularly, beveling edges, okay, with the edge loop in between, and then moving all of those out a bit as well. Sometimes works to give you a little bit of extra detail, and then either deleting that edge loop in the middle, okay, to get back to your four-sided shapes. Okay, that works sometimes. Okay, so adding in a bit of detail like that. Okay, which is kind of cool. Okay, and that is as far as we're going to get today, I'm afraid. Okay, now next week we're already moving on to, according to the brief, building a basic rig for our character so that when we go and pose him for our sculpt, there's something to actually do with him. Okay, basic rig. Okay, so nice little skin fold, cloth folds like that really does make a very big difference. Okay. Sorry, I really want that edge just to come out. Let's just move that. I don't know why, but I do want that kind of. It's just going to make it feel better. Okay, so next week we're looking at a rig for our character, and then we're taking it from there. Okay, so if we look back at this character over here, these are all just faces that were extruded from the actual mesh. All of this pants as well, okay? So if we take the pants, exactly the same thing, added a crease over there, if you look at the mesh, smooth it around for these crinkles. Basically all that is adding a couple extra edge loops, okay? So say now if you do that kind of thing, and then scaling one up and scaling another one up. And then just using the sculpt tools just to make it look less perfect. Okay, so bunching them around and, you know, doing that kind of thing. Okay, that's how I did that. Okay, so check out the video, okay, which will be uploaded just now, for all the other fun details, as well as also the eye shape is pretty much just a shape. Once you've mirrored it, okay, you need to mirror it first, okay, it's literally just going and giving it a shape key, turning it on, and then that with either connected on, or you just select all the edge loops over there, you just go and open up the eye. Okay, which I'll also do a video of just now in the next class. Okay, do you guys have any questions? Okay, you guys all know what you're submitting on Friday? Yes, no? Okay, what you guys are submitting on Friday of your base sculpt, okay, it's not of your retopologized model, it's literally this, okay? I want to see, and these don't have to be renders, they can be captures. All I want to see is what your mesh or your sculpt looked like, okay? It's just an interim presentation mark, sorry, it's just an interim mark, interim submission, there we go, got there in the end. Okay, so it's like a progress point, okay, of what you're doing. What I want is just like this. It can literally be screen captures. The front view and the side view of your character as a full body shot, okay? And then front view and the side view of the face. Okay, 4 images uploaded onto Classrooms. I'll make you a assignment for it. Cool? Get out of here. Go away. Since you don't want to stay.
With the hand, is it okay if I leave my clothes or should I hide them?
It's up to you.
Because I've already got
Make
them.
separate ones, so make extra ones with the clothes and ones without. Sorry, let me go. Step number 1, get our reference back. Okay, so for the rest of this guy, I want to add some of the rest of the details of here. So probably the rings that he has. We'll see if we can actually get to the pocket watch. And then pants. Okay. So I'll make some trousers. I'm not going to do shoes now. Shoes are going to take me way too long, and you guys have more than enough time at home to learn how to make shoes. They're not very difficult, but I just don't feel like it. Okay. So, trousers. Select character. Okay, I have at this point mirrored him. Okay, so I will select half of it, or select it, delete the half that I don't want, and only model half of the trousers, so that I can do it a little bit easier. You can go all the way too far and then just minus it again. Okay, so something like that. So duplicate it, Shift D, press P to separate it, and then you have a separate object. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that now we can use to go and make the trousers. Now, obviously, trousers aren't going to stick to his leg over there like his briefs are doing. Also, I want to go and delete half of it so long. So you can delete those faces, put my mirror modifier back onto it. Make sure that's before your subdivision surface, and we can take it here. Now, okay, first thing, I normally want it to stick out a little bit from my body. Okay, so just stand back, so it's not directly on top of the skin to begin with. Okay, so I select everything, Alt-S, then pushes it back just a little bit, so it expands it along the normal. Okay, if it's weird or it doesn't work properly, just before you do that, go press Ctrl-A and apply the scale of the object. Okay, that makes a big difference. Okay, especially if it doesn't go directly along the normal. Okay, also want to turn that on. Okay, so just make it stand out just a little bit, and then since they're trousers, and I said these edge loops aren't going to be so tight, we can probably get rid of at least one of them. Okay, and then from this, let's first just get the shape right before we. Sorry, speaking is making me cough today. Okay, before we go and add too much detail to it, let's just get the shape right. So I'm going to. What is happening outside? Okay, so I'm just going to go with my Sculpt tools. My Sculpt tools are literally one of the nicest things to work with in Blender. Okay, I don't want to have that out so much. You can also just model it in, obviously. Okay, so I want that just to stand out of it. So I don't want such a sharp crease over here or there. Okay, I want that just to hang from the hips, pretty much. Around there, we can have it slightly tighter, perhaps. Excuse me. Okay, so something like that. Okay, now as a base shape, that's fine. Then we can start adding our details. So, for instance, there, bevel, Control B, make it a bit bigger. Scroll up with your mouse wheel, get your edge loop inside, and then Alt S to push it back in a bit to make that seam. Okay, something like that. Okay, which is pretty cool. Okay, now we can go and model in pockets and all of those extra things. I'm not going to do it now, I'm just going to focus on the cloth. You guys can do that in your own time, I think. Okay, so I'm going to add in an extra couple loops just here around the knee, so we can pretty much just make a little more of a, like a bunching cloth effect behind here. Okay, so something like that. And then I can go and use my Sculpt tools just to, you know, scale it up a little bit. Okay, make it bunch a little bit more in places, that kind of thing. Also, normally there is a bit of a crease in the front from being ironed. Okay, so often I do that kind of thing as well. Okay, to give us just a bit of a crease over there. Okay, and then over here I can just go and just smooth it out a little bit. So take your smooth brush and literally drop the strength a lot to, you know, something very okay. It doesn't do anything. Okay, something like that. Otherwise, the other alternative is to just use the smooth vertex button. Okay, which helps as well. Okay, turn that off. Okay, so something like that. Okay. So as I say, I'm not going to choose. Okay. Once you've done, what is that? Does it look like there are two meshes there? Oh, it's his leg. Okay, sorry. Solidify. Give it a bit of an edge. You can scale outwards. I normally push it out rather than in just to make sure it doesn't intersect with my clothing. Okay, so something like that is okay for now. Okay, so slight details. It doesn't quite look like just his body anymore, which is fine. Okay. Moving on. Okay. We can also give him some hair. Now, this mesh, I've not really finished this quite yet. However, what we can do is he's got like really just this patch on top of his head which is coming back. So it's really quite simple here. There is a really nice tutorial if you have a character with more stylized, detailed hair. Anyway, we're back. So literally just selecting where I'd want the hair to go. What is that? I was wondering where that went. I really was though. Okay, anyway. Okay, so selecting a bunch of that. Okay, separating it. Sorry. Separating it. Applying a not bad, it's that. Mirror modifier to it. Okay, mirror goes before your subset always. And then these I can just patch up quickly. Okay. Whatever for this, I mean, you can literally just go. You can also just apply thickness to it to start off with. Something weird is happening there. If you say only rim, then it leaves out the original interfaces, okay? Which is nifty. I'm just going to say that quickly. Oh, no, not that, it's terrible. Let's just do, see, check is break everything. Okay, so like something like that, and then I normally just go and, you know, shape it back in. Okay, so hair and that kind of thing. Depends on how difficult you want to make it for yourself. There's a million different ways to do it, literally. don't do what I'm doing there because it's not the best way to do it, but anyway, it's just something for now. Okay, just so it's not entirely bored. Okay, and then little fine details, like I'd really be glad if all of you like really give your characters like small little details that really make them unique. So for instance, this guy's got like these rings on his fingers or a pocket chain or something like that, which is a nice touch. In terms of and the buttons and those kind of things, you know, little details. So it's not just a straightforward thing. A belt with a belt buckle and small details are really going to give them a really nice feel. Okay. Yeah, we still have some time to mess around with that. Before we get there, however, I just quickly want to jump back to these eyes. Okay. Now, since you guys have finished modeling the actual character, his hands are on, his feet are on, you've applied your mirror modifier. Now we can actually go and apply our, or open his eyes up, okay, which we've not really done yet. Okay, so from here, basically, all we need is two shape keys. Well, one shape key, which basically means you have to press it twice with the base shape as well. And then we can turn it on. Now, when I do this, since I've applied my mirror modifier, if I do something on this side, it's not going to apply to that side, which I do want it to do. However, if I say that, then it is going to do it. Okay, which is pretty useful. So in the options, we can say export. Okay, now, what I want to do is I want to select these points from all the way down there to up there, hopefully. Okay, let's see, did I get them? Yes. So those three at once. Okay, I don't want those 3 points' relationship or distance between each other to change at all. Okay, so those I really want to have them just move up and down. Okay, so on the shape, we're now literally just going to open up the eye. So I'm going to pull those up. Now we can go and slide that back up there to crease that edge a little bit more again. Okay, where's my, oh, bad. Okay, similarly with this one. Okay, now when I sculpted this guy, he's got really like nice eyes. And it would be nice to get some of the detail back, to be honest. Okay. So we may still want to go and add in some extra edge loops here and there to make our characters the same, or you know, the same details as what we had in the original one. So if I just show you as an example. Okay, so we had like really nice shaped eyes. It would be nice to get that in. I also want to get that back in as well, which I don't have at the moment. Okay. But just the eyes, I like that kind of open shape. We may struggle a bit, but let's see how close we can get. Okay. Yeah, we're going to struggle a bit to get that exactly the same, but let's see how close we can get. Let's go for those. So seems really happy. Okay, nothing weird. Okay, so I just want my eyeball back as well. But I don't know what I've done with it. Eyeball. Oh, it's in that layer. It's that layer. Hey. Could have sworn I just had an eyeball. Oh, this thing's X-ray next to the on. And everything's X-ray is still on. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's better. So now eyes there. Okay, not too bad. Let's see if we can maybe just get it a little bit more. Just also want to pull the bottom lids down a little bit. Okay. couple of those down. And then we can also lessen the crease in the eye there a bit as well, just by sliding those up and down. To get not as much of a sharp angle over there, just a little bit softer. Okay, so something like that. Okay, now you do need to check what it looks like with the smooth on to see if you need to pull them closer or further away from the actual eyeball. So in this case, in the corner of the eye, I definitely do need to. I'm going to put my connected proportion on. However, there may also be an issue in the actual base mesh, so not just in the open mesh. So, but I don't think you really notice that too much. Okay, so there we now have a shape which then at least opens our character's eyes. That softening of that crease actually works really nicely, so I'm really glad at that. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that so far. Okay, I do want to pull this. Okay, I like that a little bit more. Okay, now bringing some of the details back that I want. For instance, there's that little nice crease over there, okay, which I really would like to have. So let's see what we can do there. So now it's literally just going back and adding more detail. When I retopologize, I really don't try and get every single detail if it means I need to put in too much geometry right at the start. Okay, so I'd rather leave some detail out and come and put it in a little bit later. Literally just by doing something as simple as this. Okay, so all I'm doing is just drawing in an extra edge over there, okay, which I can then add another edge over there too, okay, and then if I just check back on what that's supposed to look like, so it's literally just a little crease over there that kicks in and then more of a rounded lip over there. Okay, so let's pull this off. That's what that looks like. Seems I did that only on one side of my character. Remember, when you're adding things in now, we need to be working on both sides, so I'm going to undo that as much as I can. Okay, now this does get tricky because we do lose our symmetry as soon as we do something like this. So do this right in the end, okay? Or do it before you open up your eyes and just resymmetrize the character. Two options. Okay, so let me just get that in again. However, a bit of asymmetry in a character is not a bad thing. Just be careful with it, because it can ruin things like, not ruin things, but make weight painting and stuff a little bit more difficult. So actually I'm going to say this. Before you do your eyes, do all of these details, resymmetrize your character, and then do your eyes right at the end. Okay, so that you don't have symmetry issues later. See, because it's already fighting against me. In fact, so I'm going to undo that again. I want it from this line. It's literally just a little smudge over there. Okay. In fact, what I am going to do also is I'm going to show you how to get your symmetry back if you have already done a face shape kind of thing. So say now if you want the symmetry back just now, I'll show you how to get that there. Okay, so something like that is, I'm happy with that. Okay, anything else I want to bring back? I do like those wrinkles in his forehead, so adding one or two of those back in may be nice. Okay, again, that's the same as what I would do with the clothes and that kind of thing. So I pretty much bevel something and then merge points like that, and then just add an extra edge, which I can just do something like that with, which is not the only thing. Okay, so we can add little bolts like that. Try and, if you do it, just make sure that these lines aren't too straight. Expect. Okay, so one over there, and those creases are quite nice too. Let's see what we can do over there. Just be careful with this. Drawing in edges everywhere may break things as well. So be very cautious doing something as cowboy as this. Okay, but it does add a bit of a nice touch. There, I almost got this too. But there you start losing it already. But what we can do is we can bring these edges down a bit and add one in just over there. Okay, now I am going to show you guys how to just re-symmetrize this. Say now you've done, like I have, a face shape and you need to fix it. We'll just do that side of that as well. Well, I hope I can show you. I'm going to be pretty stupid if I don't get it right. Okay, just something like that. And in fact, just take that up one as well. Hello? Hey, merge up there. What is happening over here? Okay, something like that. Okay. Right. Goodness gracious. There we go. Okay, so just some more little fine little details, which really just add that little bit extra. Okay, I'm rather going to show you quickly just how to get your shapes back after smudge writing. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, basically, we like this half of the character, right? So, if you duplicate that, let's have another one. Wait, before we do that, let's chop them in half. Okay, so selecting faces, turn that off. Now, as nicely as possible, chop them in half, getting all the little bits and pieces, so don't miss any points out. Okay, make sure you don't have anything selected that shouldn't be. okay, especially inside the mouth as well. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Okay, so now we've chopped them in half, so technically, except for over there, okay, we've missed a lot actually. Okay, there we go, straight line. Okay, so chopped them in half, now we can try and resymmetrize them. However, that's nice as well. Let's go and fix that too. That's a good thing I'm showing you guys this. Okay, however, we can't go and just apply a mirror modifier again, or we can, but we can't apply it. Okay, if we try apply, it's going to say modifier cannot be applied to mesh with shape keys. So basically, we need to delete the shape keys off of it before we can apply it. Right? So what we need to do then, still want to have a a mirrored mesh. Okay, but let's show you how this works. Okay, so first of all, since we've now included our actual geometry modeling in with the eye, I just want to take that, actually, let me just think. Sometimes this class ended at 3. Fantastic, we have plenty of time. Okay. Okay, now to fix this problem that I've made for myself here, basically I need to separate the crinkles and stuff from the eye and then apply the crinkles back into the mesh. Okay, that makes sense, right? So if we duplicate this, the only way to duplicate a shape that I know of is to say new shape from mix, okay, which then takes the settings of all the shapes you have onto the activeness of all the shapes and makes you a new shape, which is then that, okay? And now we can basically go and either remove the movement of the eye from this one. Yeah, let's move, well, we can do both, okay? Move the movement from the eye from the one and remove the movement of the brows from the other, or the crinkles from the other. Now all we need to do that is 2 vertex groups. Okay, so I know this is probably a bit more intricate than what I should be showing you guys just yet, but basically if we select the eye, and I only want vertices selected, okay, just go up like that. Okay, so let's say those, however I don't want those because those are going to move along there as well. Okay, so those points are the ones that I want to be active on the eye. Okay, so I'm going to press Control G and say assign to new group, and then I'm going to invert that. Okay, so these are all the other vertices, and assign that to its new group. So basically that's made us a weight map like that and like that. Okay, now for say now one of these we only want well, we want these to be different. Okay, so we've got 2 of the same shapes now. And now, if we turn one of them on, okay, and in that blend vertex group over there, you can select one of those. And what that'll do is turn that back just into an eye blink, okay? And in this one, we select the opposite one, choose that one. And that would then turn it just into the crinkles. And the crinkles are the one we actually just want to keep. Okay, now I think how we're going to do this, remove the crinkles first, delete our base shape. Okay, so the crinkles we want there, excuse me, delete our base shape, our crinkles are going to turn into our base shape. Okay, so now we've basically applied that shape as our base shape, and now the shape only does nothing. Why do you do nothing? Sorry, don't do what I just did, it broke. That's weird. Okay, well, either way, let's do this quickly. If we duplicate him, okay, here, we can try and do this separately. Ultimately, all we want to do is join, we want one with his eyes open and one with his eyes closed, and then we say, use that one as a face shape. Okay, so if this one has his crinkles and his eyes are closed and everything is fine, then we can basically go and apply all of these. Nope. 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 How is this not working? So we want his eyes closed and his crinkles there. Oh, okay, well, let's do it the other way around. If we now say, oh no, this is a nightmare. New shape from mix now, then that shape will have our crinkles and our eyes closed. So if we minus that one, and minus that one, and minus that one, then we have our crinkles and our eyes closed. And here, we want our crinkles and our eyes open. Okay, so we want our crinkles and our eyes open, so we want that. So we say new shape from mix now. I think it doesn't like the actual blend groups when you're applying them, so it ignores that. Now we just go backwards and say there. Okay, so now we have success. Okay, there's one, no shape keys, eyes closed with crinkles, eyes open with crinkles. Now, if we reset his position, I'm just going to do that so that it's just in front of each other. We can now go and put a mirror on it. Mirror, apply it, put a mirror on this one first and apply it. Okay, and now this is our base shape. We want that to be the face shape with the eyes open. Okay, now we basically want our base shape to be selected last. So we select the one that we want to add as a shape key, select the one we want to apply it to, and we say join as shape key. Okay, now what that'll do is not on that mesh. See, it's not applied anything over there. Do that. That one now has a shape key which goes wah, and our mesh is symmetrical again. I know it's quite a long process, but we got there in the end. Okay, anyway, so if you have that issue, that's how you would go about fixing it. Okay, well, I'm quite glad we got there. Technical, I know, but anyway. Okay, so now we have our symmetrical details. We can still, if we need to adjust anything, we still have a symmetrical character so that the X mirror does still work. And we have our face shape, which opens its eyes up. Okay, which is pretty cool. Okay, then as I was saying, all that's really left is really just fine details. Now, I'm really trying to think how we can make that chain, because that chain would be pretty cool. And I think how we would need to do it is if we do, let's see quickly. Okay, so if we can spend 5 minutes doing this, I'll be quite happy. Okay, so remember we want to make a chain as easily as possible that does from there to there to there and then bounces down again. So I don't know what it's connected to, but let's see. So first of all, if we just make a chain link, so 2 chain links, and we're going to take a plane. Let's just do this on a new layer, shall we? So down here, so all our other stuff isn't in the way. Now this is some bonus stuff for you. Okay. Basically, I want to do that, okay, and just make it a little smaller. Okay, now if I inset that and delete those faces, okay, I'll have that, which if I smooth it out will look like that, and if I put a mirror modifier or solidifier modifier on, it needs to be quite small. Okay, so there, some thickness to it. That first, we're going to have a chain link. Okay, we can probably make that a bit smaller as well. Okay, so that, and also on the offset we make that 0 so it applies it evenly in both directions. Okay, then this is going to be pretty cool, so don't worry about it. Okay, take it about there. Okay, I'm going to rotate that like so. Okay, so basically, if we have this, right, and we duplicate that, and then apply it to a curve, we should have something which should resemble a chain. So let's see, first of all, if we take that, Apply the solidify. So we have that as our object. We give it an array modifier. Okay, so array, and we want that basically to be in a place where, if I pull that there, I think, and then we can set that distance to go back. So that way we have chain, okay, and I think the center point of the chain is still in the center of the scene, so it's tough to navigate. Okay, if we now add a curve, which also has the same center point over there, so path. Okay, so the centers are the same, I think that's quite important. And we then apply a curve modifier to that object, like so. Then you can also go and edit the curve and have it, our chain follow. Okay, which is pretty cool, I think. Okay, so now having done that, we can go and apply that. So both of them just a lot smaller. Oops, no, let's not make it a lot smaller. Okay, now we can just go and shape that back onto our character. Okay, so make the chain a bit smaller, maybe a bit thicker. He's got a big dude, give me a big chain. Okay, now we can pretty much go and start this at one point. So basically we want it to go from more or less there, a pocket over there, to a buttonhole, and to another pocket. Okay, so starting over there. Let's have it like nice little points. So there's one of them. Take another one there to just sharpen up that corner perhaps. And then let's see if we can get something like that. Okay, which works quite nicely. Okay, we will get some deformation in the chain itself, but that's okay too. We can try and just, I don't know, fix it somehow. Okay, but we've now got his chain on, which is nice. Get all of this closer to him, so it hangs around him pretty much. Okay, and this is the wonder of Blender's modifiers. Like, there's, as far as I know, I mean, other software doesn't come close to this kind of niceness. Okay, we can probably also have it dangled down a bit for the actual pocket watch. Okay, we can just try and position it so that it looks a bit nicer. Okay, so that's not too bad. And then, where's our picture? Movie editor. Okay, so it's basically just a quick watch. Let's see what we can do with a quick watch. So just a basic shape. So we can start with a cylinder. I always set these down to at least, if it needs to be really round, 8 sometimes isn't enough and it makes still like kind of a square shape. But let's see what we can do over here. Insert that, extrude that down, insert that a little bit, extrude it up, scale it down. That's good enough. Okay, I'm really just trying to get a basic shape here. Okay, that, and then we can have a bit of a little like a little noose over there, and we can have a little, here I'm just using a cube. So just 1 second, this is Chris Lowe. Yes. So I just quickly need to send a message. Okay, something simple like that. Okay, that should be enough for now. So we set a pocket watch. Just join that onto there. Okay, okay, back. Giant pocket watch. See, so it's like little details like this that is really going to make the character really stand out quite nicely. What we can do is select all of those bits and pieces. Say Shift S, cursor to selected, and then move this entire object's cursor to the 3D cursor. And then we can just do that. Something small. Okay. I don't quite know how that would actually go anywhere. Okay. And then, yeah, little things, rings, the small details, the buttons. You can add a quick button. Yeah, I mean, even if it is literally just a flat cube. Okay. Okay. Okay, little things that now we'll start adding full detail to our character. Okay, do you guys have any questions on that particularly? Okay, what you guys are handing on a Friday isn't obviously this. All I want to see on Friday is basically your base sculpt, okay? And these don't need to be rendered, it's like a interim submission. Okay, so this isn't your final submission, so I don't want you guys to waste any time rendering anything, but literally a screen capture of your front and your side view of your full character, as well as a front and a side view of his face. Okay, just the sculpted versions of your mesh. Okay, any questions? Okay, cool. Well, if that's that, I am going to start uploading the video now, I think, so let me just stop this so long.